Hello there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lana Labonte and I am here to inspire you. I am here to uplift, support, inspire, and hopefully that empowers you to be the best version of you. You're here to be. You do you in the best way you can and are meant to. So we got a lot of talking to do, don't we? Or maybe I got a lot of talking and maybe you're listening. And definitely let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and how you found me. I'm always curious because you never know. With the algorithm, it's like I feel lost in a sea, lost at sea. But do you see? So you may hear the rumbles in the background, thunder overhead, thunderstruck over here. We're in the beginnings of some rainy weather in the Sunshine State. And I am the first one to notice the sky and the clouds and the differences and the changes going on around me, listening to the birds. And this morning I was awoken by the sounds of the singing birds, and I absolutely love, love, love listening to the birds. They make me happy. They make my heart sing when I hear them sing, because they are the happy birds in my neighborhood. And they just sound so delightful. And I was speaking with a friend earlier today, and when I went outside, they said, "Where are you outside? I can hear birds chirping, singing." I said, "Aren't they beautiful?" And they were like, "Yeah, that's really nice. They're beautiful. They sound amazing." And see, sometimes we need to slow down and literally listen. Listen within. There'll be plenty of things and external noises to us. This is the world we're living in. We're bombarded, we're overwhelmed. We can't turn off our minds. Well, we can slow down, but it's a choice. And not everybody's making that choice to slow down. In fact, many are running from the noise. But the noise won't go away just because you run away from it. Just like any addiction, you can numb the pain, but you're numbing the joy. And when you numb the pain and you essentially have numbed the joy, you start chasing the high. That's what addiction is. Hi, Valley. So beautiful to see you. And we have me, Shakti. So addiction is really a way to cover up, to avoid feeling the pain. But it's in the feeling that's revealing and leads to the healing that we all seek and desire. It's so easy to say, I don't want to feel this way. But again, where attention goes, energy flows. The more you fixate on something, you obsess upon it, you're actually feeding it, fueling it, maintaining it, sustaining it. Right? Think about all the different things that you have given your time and attention and energy to that you claimed you didn't want in your life. Whether it's a relationship, a job, a lifestyle, where you live. We have to be really cognizant and slow down. Start looking around yourself and asking, why am I here? What am I here for? Is where I'm at where I need to be? Or is there somewhere else seeking, desiring me? Life is really, thank you, I appreciate the compliments, by the way. Life is about us growing, expanding, illuminating the path from within. Not going along with the crowd, because you do stand out. We all stand out. But some are trying to blend in, trying to hide. I was one of them for a very long time. A good portion of my life was all about fitting in. I'm the first one to admit that. I didn't feel like I belonged, so I found ways to fit in. And fitting in, it actually steals your essence, because then you're really not there to adopt other people's ways of life. You're not there to be a cookie cutter. You have so much to offer. You came in for a reason. You chose this life. And so we need you at your soul self potential, what you came here to do. You're here to contribute, to be a part of this human experience. And we are either choosing to be the star of our own show or an extra in someone else's. So questions around addiction. Are you where you're at? Have you overstayed your welcome? I've been known to do that in my life. Stayed in relationships far longer than I should have, with people that didn't align with me, that we had gone separately in different directions. We do this for contrast, but sometimes we do it out of convenience, out of codependency, out of fear. Sometimes fear, we're afraid what the other person's going to do, and fear what we're going to do or not do. And we really need to check in. Why do I do what I do? And why do I choose the people that I choose? Because again, choice is your superpower. And really what we're going through right now is a huge shift where relationships are being challenged for a reason. Because they're either going to endure the coming season or it's time to end them. And often when you overstay your welcome in situations, the universe finds ways, especially when you're holding on to dear life, like, I can't let go of this. Addiction, attachment, codependency, whether it's a job, it's a person, it's a place, it's a thing. The more you cling, the universe will rip it out of your hands. Because even the universe has your best interest at heart. And at the time, it'll feel like crap. It'll feel like, why me? I'm a victim. But in the back of your mind, you will remember the part where you were like, I really didn't want to be there. So the universe actually responded to that vibration to support you. And in the past, in my life, that's happened more than once. Some were subtle and some were really profound. I was in relationships that I wasn't happy with, but the minute they decided to bolt, all of a sudden I was like, well, wait a minute here. Maybe I want to be in this relationship because that's my ego. That was my ego back then. My ego wanted to be right. It didn't care if I was happy. I was in relationships at points where I would rather be the one to break up than be broken up with, because the ego doesn't like that. Like, how dare you reject me? I'm supposed to reject you. You see how childish and immature that is? But yet we have so many adults, again, and I will use my trusty phrase, running around like monkeys with unmet childhood needs, flinging their shit at each other, thinking that the other person's going to clean it up for them and take care of their needs. But yet not trying to understand what the other person needs, not meeting them where they're at, not communicating effectively. We got a lot of unhealthy stuff going on in the world. In fact, if you look at the world, they're trying to normalize mental health illnesses as if it's okay. And it isn't. In fact, a lot of it is to support an unhealthy system that we've long outgrown ourselves. But you can't fix stupid, you know what I mean? So, and I admit, I am judgmental. I compare myself to things all the time. Judgmental, but I'm discerning. There's a difference between a harmful judgment and one where you recognize I am comparing myself to the situation for my own calculation. What do I need to change in myself? What do I need to learn in the situation? What am I discerning to make my next move, my next choice in life? Judgment is not a bad thing. It's the intention behind the judgment. Are you judging to harm another? There's a difference. So we are going through a lot of transition. This is something I've been noticing in myself, especially when you're like at a place in your life that you're, why am I here? What am I doing? Am I doing the right things? Why am I not doing the things I want to be doing? Maybe you're holding back, withholding. I have my moments and I struggle. And I admit that. I struggle with the fact that, you know, what if I don't present things that people want? What if I'm not doing that thing? Ultimately, I want to share experiences with people. I want to bring people together, to network, to create tribe, to create camaraderie, strength among women, men, support. A place where people feel safe, a place where they can be themselves and feel they're seen and not judged and not attacked, or they feel safe. And also my biggest reason for wanting to do retreats is because to me, that's where I thrive the most, is showing people the world and where I've been and how beautiful life shows up to you when you say yes to the experience. It's like magic to me. Travel and experiences are magic. They're magical, they change you. When you leave your comfort, something new is presented to you. Literally, it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to get up and go, whether it's physical or even in your mind. It's a gift to have that creative flow, to be creative, period. We all are. A life is art. We are art. Even the word heart has art in it. And you know, age is just a number. Don't fall into the traps. When someone says to you, you're just getting older, don't let that be your limitation. Don't attach, don't adopt it. I am the first one to tell you, I don't believe in ageism. I don't believe in age as a number, that if your health is declining or this is declining, it's because of age. I call BS on that. Belief systems are bullshit. Age is a number concocted by man for consumerism, because you should buy this to make you feel better. You should put this cream on. You should take this supplement. You should do the. You should. It's a whole shoulding on you. When in reality, all the wisdom that comes with the age should come back to, again, tune out the noise and tap into your inner wisdom. Your body will tell you what you need to do if you listen. That's discernment. That's your inner gnosis. That's your intuition, the intimacy, the into me I see. It's too easy to become victim to these stories, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to adopt the stories. Yeah, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Trust in yourself. This is what this time is about, is stepping out of our comfort. Like, it's real comfortable for me to sit here and talk to you, but it's going to be a huge step for me to invite you into my space, to hold you for a full year of women in wellness, women supporting women, connecting, sharing our innermost desires, learning how to move your body, how to tune into your body, how to listen to your soul's wisdom. There's so much that you can learn in community, in a circle, a sacred circle. And that is my offering coming up in August. I forgot to look at the calendar. It's an inside thing and how you feel. I totally agree. When you ask someone their age or how they feel, there's a huge disparity, isn't there? It's like I was at Whole Foods last week. I think I shared this on my last video. I had a pile of chocolates and the guy behind me was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't eat like that. Like he was completely, he was showing such a vulnerable side of himself, and he probably had no clue as to how deeply he was revealing his belief systems to me as he spoke. And it was interesting to hear him basically should on himself. He couldn't do that, so he should do this. You know what I mean? Like he had a whole cart full of other stuff. And in the end, he thought I was younger than I was. And I said, well, I feel younger than I am. And how old are you? And when he told me his age, I said, there you go. You look good for your age too. He was significantly older than I would have guessed. But that's the interesting thing. We don't have to limit ourselves based on a number. In fact, that's what usually sucks the life out of us. And it's all based on advertising, media, marketing. And today I saw a video around our youth and the eating disorders with social media and the influence. And I said, you know, it's not really that much different than when I grew up in the 80s, and probably even before that too, if you think about it. It's always been in the advertising, beauty and health magazines, TV series, your peers and the groups that you wanted to hang out with. Think about the influences upon your life. That for me, beauty pageants. When I was younger and I was 12 years old, I felt fat because I was comparing myself to those magazines. I was comparing myself to beauty pageants. And I wasn't happy in my skin, but guess what? 12 is when you're going through puberty, people. It's natural to go through the fluctuations. And I'm like, I can look back now and see how easily influenced I was back then. And I had these conversations with my mom, and my mom was like, but you weren't fat. I said, I'm not saying that I was, but at the time, that's how I felt. And it really actually is the reason I've always been so attentive to my body and not allowed myself to stay sedentary, to get lazy, that I have to move my body. Because that actually is how I move energy, that when I don't feel quite myself, I know I need to move my body. Something's not right, I got to move my body. My body is always telling me. But at 12 years old, you don't know your body yet. You're still developing, you're still learning. So at that time, I was just looking around myself and assuming based on what I forgot to do this. Sorry, I normally focus. Hi, Deborah, so good to see you. Oh. That was sweet. That's a nice compliment, isn't it, Deborah? I mean, let a guy compliment you, right? 23 years. And some of them, they like older women. Or they might have a little bit of a fetish thing going on. But the truth is, I know, just looking back, that I can see now, and didn't know then, how easily influenced I was from all that external noise, from all that propaganda. Look, compare yourself. We are raised to consume. We are raised to compare ourselves. It is actually disempowering. And happy birthday, by the way, Deborah. Because 72, girlfriend, I know you are rocking it. That's beautiful, as are you. So you can be that wise woman, that elder, that everybody goes, I want to look like you when I get to be your age. I know many women in their 70s and I'm like, God bless you. You're my hero and I strive to be like you too. But the wisdom too that comes with age. In fact, I feel better than I ever did. Actually, yes, I do. Especially having taken out the breast implants made a huge difference. And on Monday, my my neuromuscular therapist, he dug into my ribs. I was like, oh, that was painful. And yeah, it's all of this. It's all the media, medium, channeling, casting spells upon us. Look at this. It's thinking about the idolization of all these external individuals, right? It's false idolatry. And we don't want to fall traps. We don't want to even go there. Like, whether you follow a religion or not, the idea that we worship anybody but the temple we're in has really been the biggest setup. That this temple is sacred and that we were made in the image of our Creator. That's what makes you perfect. That's what makes you beautiful. Yeah. And it's all airbrushed. It's all manipulated. And at this point, now we got AI. Oh, you just wait. Talk about messing with body image on people. We had enough of that growing up, in my time at least, for the 80s. In the 80s, the late 70s, it wasn't really like, there was no real focus on the waif skinny model until the 90s is what I would say. I'd say 90s was when they really pushed the real thin. And one of the things I shared in my last little short video, and that I was referring to this video around this little girl basically ending up with these eating disorders based on the social media that's at their disposal, at their fingertips, right? It's really not different than what we were exposed to. It's just a different medium, spell casting. The reality is that when I was younger and I felt fat, I tried Dexatrim, Slim Fast. I don't know what else there was, but those are the first, those are the first two that popped into my mind. And to be totally honest with you, I didn't like the way they made me feel. They felt like speed. I remember my girlfriends, here, let's chop it up and snort it, make it look like a drug. It was stupid. But my girlfriends and I did it. And I look back and go, ugh, the hell were we thinking? That stuff is so bad when you're developing. We were still developing. And here we are worried about being fat. It's crazy. It's serious craziness. But I also tried puking. You know, that whole, what is it called? Anorexia, or wherever you puke after you, bulimia. When you throw up your food afterward. I was like, well, let me try that. Because I'd heard about it. I don't know how the heck anybody can do that. I was like, why would anybody do that? Like, I like the taste of food. I don't want it coming back up. That doesn't taste so good coming the other direction. Yeah, no, sorry, didn't resonate with me. So, I just kept on with myself, and I just realized I'm going to have to take care of myself. I'm going to have to be healthy. I'm going to have to move my body, exercise, stay out like I was. I mean, this is what we grew up outside. You couldn't even bring us inside when we were young. I had cubes as a teen and what are cubes? Sugar cubes? Curves. I gotcha. And back in those days, curves weren't really that popular. The average woman was just kind of, not real curvy. And some of this is completely because of the food manipulation, the hormones that are injected in the animals that people are consuming. Like, people don't understand how much what you put in your body also influences how your genetics and how your body responds to it too. Girls having menstrual cycles start at an earlier age, earlier and earlier, 7, 8, 9. That's crazy. And it has a lot to do with the hormones and the manipulation and modification of our foods. And not everybody's aware of this. Or birth control too. I mean, really, we could go down all of those rabbit holes. They're all there as part of an agenda, clearly. Let's sterilize the human populace. That's kind of fucked up. But it's an agenda, and it exists. Sterilization of the masses, because we don't want to really go past a certain point. It's too unmanageable. We need to keep the human population at a certain level so we can maintain control over them much easier. That's what genocide is all about, is they want control, but they want it manageable. These are very strange and crazy times we're living in. And I never thought we would end up here like we are. And I was reflecting upon that earlier. I'm like, wow. Whew, who'd have thought that we'd be in the state that we're in right now? Literally. And I really don't, you know, I said to my therapist the other day, because he's also a retired veteran as well. And he was in Vietnam. He got targeted when he gave his coordinates. And he knew he was targeted because of the way the attack came down. And if it wasn't for the Vietnamese translators and his guides, he wouldn't be here today. So it fascinates me, because the military are the first people they come after. Why? Because we know. Why? Why? They make us the guinea pigs for different things. I mean, you just look through history, you can figure it out if you really want to know. We're in a state where it is a bizarro clown world. And I have my theories around the things that are occurring and what has been happening. And I know my book needs to come out, and I need to get my ass in gear. And I've been holding back for far too long. Because the more I've told my story, the more people say to me, I hope you're writing a book. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize how challenging it might be. And that there's a little bit of fear in me. Why? Because I already get people who tell me they don't want to hear what I have to say, and they don't believe half of the things that I say. And I'm like, I'm not here to convince you. If you want to hear that it's my personal experience, that's one thing, but don't try to tell me my life is not real. And the stuff that talk to text. Oh yeah, that's already been a discussion I had with somebody today, or last week. I met a man who does audiobooks, and he said to me, I hope you're writing a book because you've got some really good stuff. And he had watched one of my videos, and I truly appreciate, Paul, if you're watching this, thank you. He suggested the talk to text. And I know my story will blow away some people, but it will also piss off a whole lot of people. And it would put a lot of shit out there that I gotta I've gotta just be ready for the backlash, because I already know. I know the stuff I talk about is not stuff people want to hear. I'm not here to be the doom and gloom person. I honestly have had an amazing life. I really have. I've been very blessed. I've had a lot of fucked up shit happen. A lot. But a lot of really beautiful stuff too. So I really feel blessed for the life that I've lived and led. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I am the last one I will tell you right now, I got a whole lot of life to live. I ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. Except to travel when you're ready. So, you know, like some of the stories around being set up and being used as the fall person or the sacrificial lamb, because people don't like when you point out things, and being blacklisted, like that whole thing still blows my mind. And it actually probably came from two sources, and I've only just realized, not just the one source, which was the last company I CSC, but also Antion, which became General Dynamics. Because then it dawned on me that they're the ones that defrauded the government when they were writing on my Italian work permit. Like, that's really messed up. And they owed me money. and proceeded to tell me that if you try to get it, we'll probably hire someone else. Like they pulled a bully tactic on me. It's really crazy, but they owed me 15 grand. And they didn't have to pay or do anything for my work permit. That's some messed up shit. I'll be traveling all over the place. Nobody wants to hear about the real nitty-gritty of toxicity in the GOV, contractor or otherwise, because essentially what they do is they basically support each other. It's a good old boys club, and as George Carlin says, and you ain't in it. And I wasn't a good old boy. Especially easier to oust the woman who makes them look bad. And at the time, it wasn't that I was trying to make anybody look bad. I was just doing my job. And I was under attack. I was the one they were targeting. Crazy, crazy stuff. I had a physical disability. I should have gone out on disability at that time. Shouldn't have been blacklisted. I should have been on short or long-term disability for what I was going through physically. But see, that was my lesson, is that I overstayed my welcome, and that experience, that situation was so toxic. That was one of my biggest lessons right there. It sucked. I wanted to stay in Italy. Of course I did. I had a good life there. Yeah. Well, the problem was I was the squeaky wheel. The problem was I called people out for being disrespectful, for being belligerent, for pointing out the language in the work environment. Because I was prior military, so when I watched the disrespect of the Navy kids, and I'll call them kids, because they weren't being held accountable. That was Article 15, right? I'm telling you right now, to threaten someone, that's Article 15 action. I know, because I remember what it was like in the military. I haven't forgotten what the Article 15 is about. That's called lack of military bearing. When you lose your military bearing and you actually attack verbally or otherwise, when you threaten someone, that's justification for an Article 15. But it never happened, because in the end I was told I was the cause of hate and discontent. And I was like, wow, I carry a lot of responsibility on these shoulders. I'm an easy target. Yeah, well, and the thing is it really is about choosing your battles. If you're in that type of toxic environment, it's like, am I choosing to stay here? What's the return on investment? What's the ROI on that? That's where we normally don't even think about it. Like, what am I getting out of this to stay in this toxic, unhealthy relationship? What am I earning? Is it worth it? And then even when you call stuff out, anything government, I'm sorry, it's all toxic. Yeah, you end up having to go elsewhere. But it's mostly for your own sanity and your mental health. Your mental health, your physical health, it's all your health, actually. Yeah. And then I looked back at some of the other people that were connected with some of that stuff even prior, and I was like, wait a minute here. Was this really kind of a setup from far back when I pissed off some people when I was still in the military? Because some of those people were some of the reasons that I had issues. And I just remembered my old supervisor's name, too. But anyway, life is a lot of learning. It's a lot of letting go. It's a lot of, okay, I see the lesson. I got it. I got the memo. I don't need to repeat that again. All my karma's clear right at this point. I don't know anybody anything at this point. If anything, I am calling in a lot of karma cards right now, because I've done a hell of a lot in my life, and I deserve to receive this time. It's my turn in that respect. But when I say receive, I mean it in the sense that will support me to give more. Because again, life is about receptivity. In order to give, you have to receive. In order to receive, you have to have given. It's energy needs to stay in motion and flow. And so whatever it is you're doing in this life, whatever purpose you have to tap into your, like, is this aligned for me? Is this part of my path? And something I was watching before I did this. Hey, Pamela, so good to see you. I'm telling the world I don't care what you think. Valley, high five on that one, sister. High five. I've been F-bombing a lot over the past year. You know why? Because I don't give an F. I got no more fucks to give. How about that one? I was watching a video before that I posted on my Instagram. And she's an amazing psychologist, I believe. Nice young woman. I like her videos. I can't remember her name. But she was pointing out how everybody always asks her, how did you get to be where you're at? How did you get so aware? How did you, become who you are? And she said, I practice. And this is and she compared it to the wounded and the healer. The healer, there are different variations of healers. You want the one who is the one working on themselves, the active working, because we're all healing, even though I don't like that word, right? But it's not the wounded healer you want to be with. You don't want the person who is still wounded. You want the person who is actively showing up to life and still living it and expressing it and demanding more of it for themselves. Oh, it's always hard times, isn't it? Hard times, but good times. Because even in the hard times, you had good times. It's just sometimes you can go down your own shit hole, get so stuck in there, you think, I've had a horrible life. Woe is me, I'm a victim. Fuck that. You know what? Everybody's had some shit, but you had good shit too. And you need to seek your own balance. So if you think in terms of, oh, my poor life, I've had a hell of a life. It's like, wait a minute here. Where is the good stuff? How come you're only focused and fixated on the bad stuff? Like when you hear someone in their woe is me. We need to flip the whole scenario and remind each other. You're not here to wallow in misery. If you are stuck in that space, remind yourself you'll get out of there. You've been there before, you'll come out of it again. We all go into the space of like needing to sit in our shit. But if you don't learn to sit in your own shit and like recognize, wow, this sucks, then how are you going to appreciate the good shit too? It does a number on you because it reminds you how good you've had it too. So even those hard times, even those shitty people are there to poke you and provoke you. You know what I mean? We say poke and provoke because that's the whole generating, organizing, delivering or destroying God. That life is, and we say this in Kundalini Yoga, that God is the generator, the organizer, the deliverer, or the destroyer. He does both. And that we are the ones choosing how we respond to how it shows up in our lives. Again, choice is your superpower. You can choose to be miserable, or you can really dive into all your shit and really pull out that diamond. Because even in the shit, there's some blessings, there is some wisdom. In your dark, in your shadow, there is strength. And that is what the Phoenix Rising is all about. Is coming from the ashes because you've already burned it out. You gotta go through the mess so you can express, you can be at your best. And there is nothing wrong with losing it all because you'll get it again. That what you think you lost, you've projected upon the future. Oh, I'm missing, I'm in lack, I'm in loss. Is truly well, here's the point. It was never yours. Nothing's ever ours. So we have things temporarily in life, but we get so attached that when we don't have them anymore, all of a sudden we really grieve, but we don't honor the grieving. We don't actually celebrate the fact that we had it to begin with. In fact, most of the times you hear people whining about it instead of celebrating it and going, wow, I was really blessed to even have that experience, that I even have that stuff in my life, that I was able to afford all those beautiful belongings that I bought all over the course of my life. My beautiful leather Natuzzi sofa, my teak table, and my bed, and all of my dishes, forks, knives, specialty items, everything customized. My leather sunflower in a wooden frame from Krakow, Poland. If ever, just memories. I was blessed to be able to afford them. Hardships are beautiful messes, aren't they? They teach us how resilient we are. And that once we had it, and when it's gone, it proves you can have it again, because you had it already. So it's about reminding the mind, it's conditioning your mindset, your BS, to acknowledging, well, I've been there. You know, I made a really good life here. I might not have it right this second, but I can do it again, because I've proven I can do it. You are your own proof. You're your own proof throughout the course of your entire life. That once you had something, you can always have it again. You can always seek to improve or do better than that. Okay, so I had that. I'm going to strive for even more than that. Better than that. We can say, you know, don't attach to things and how possessions possess us, as Julia said in her Simplicity Revealed today. And I've been through that as well. Like, really, we don't own anything. Nothing belongs to us. But when we over-possess, it consumes us. That's consumerism, right? Consumerism is a problem, but we were programmed. We got spellcast. Back in the day, used to be able to get high quality. This was the conversation I was having when I went to go pick up my shoes at the cobbler. Beautiful story. I walked in, the first thing I saw when I walked in, it was an old Singer sewing machine, the kind that you have to pedal, right? I grew up with one of those. It actually flipped in and folded over. It's a little different than the one that I saw, but essentially it looked just like it. And we had the leather strap, so that, because we had to have it repaired, and you just pedaled and it shoo, shoo, shoo. And I used to love to sew. My grandmother taught me to sew. My grandmother was a seamstress. She made my dad's clothes. She not only was a nurse, but she was a seamstress. This woman was so talented. My grandmother on my mom's side, she crocheted and knitted, and I wanted to learn. Nobody else wanted to learn. Like, I never saw my other cousins wanting to learn. She came to visit us. I sat down with her and I said, teach me, please. It was awesome. Hard times are meant for soul growth. And yes, like you said, Pamela, energetic beings truly enjoy writing our scripts. Yeah, well, we're the ones. We are those energetic beings. We think in terms of separation, but in reality, that's our soul. That's us doing that. We just don't remember. That was part of the plan. If we knew it all, would we still be complaining? Oh, I love that. My nonna, la nonna, your grandmother. Yes, truly. But talking about the quality, like, there's a reason I always loved antiques. I always loved the old-fashioned, the vintage clothing, because they don't make anything like they used to. Even I was saying to the cobbler about the shoes, like, and he said, well, they make some better quality. It just depends. People don't want to pay for them. I said, yeah, but, you know, my grandfather was also a cobbler. Like, he repaired shoes. He was a shoe repairman. And he did a lot of other things, but like shoes, I want good quality shoes. I am so picky, and I don't like half the stuff that's out there. Some of it looks crazy creepy to me. I just went looking for sneakers the other day, and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get the standard white Reeboks that go with everything because I just want simple shoes. The rest of it, I'm like, I don't like the styles. Like, when my dad and I went shopping last year, it looked like alien feet. It was the weirdest thing to me. And even when I was in Europe and I was in Todd's, which is one of my favorite stores, I was looking at the shoes going, where is this coming from? They don't even look like shoes. They look like a weird creature foot. And even they admitted, they're like, well, we have to follow the trends, you know? And I don't think it's that you follow the trends. It's the trends are taught to you. You're told what the fashion's going to be. And then you follow. So the spell has been cast. And that's everything. Every type of grooming you want to call it, right? We have been programmed to believe this is what we want. People don't understand. You see something enough, you start to think you want it, but before, the first time you saw it, I don't like that. You see it a second, a third, a fourth time. All of a sudden you're thinking, I think I want that. But you forgot about the part where you didn't like it in the beginning. Because most people are blindly walking through their lives. They're not actually present. They're not looking up at the sky and seeing this crazy cloud formations that don't look normal. Or that the other day I looked down to check the forecast of the weather and it said hydrologic outlook. Hydrologic outlook. They've never used that terminology. Now I had to look it up. It was a prediction for flooding. Propaganda. Predictive. Letting you know in advance what they're about to do. Kind of like what happened over there in Italy right now, right? And they're dealing with a lot of flooding. This is the life, the crazy life we have right now. Hydrologic, it has to do with flood prediction. We're not yet in our rainy season, but they're just prepping us, letting us know it's probably going to be more than average. Higher than average, which to begin with, we have not been getting a lot of rain until just recent. And I pay attention to the sky because this is the sunshine state. I am a Leo. I am about the sun. The sun is my planet. And when I see my sun and feel the difference of it being blocked out, I don't like that, especially in my own backyard. And the stuff that I've been seeing, and that last video that I posted, that was about the third time I've witnessed that. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's manipulative because if we get you to, again, where attention goes, energy flows, if you get focused on that, you help support that, right? Just like any type of game in this life. You know, it's all about getting and harnessing our lushing, right? Harnessing our energy, stealing our life force so that they can manifest through us. It's some crazy stuff. And it's not, well, actually, I saw the yellow sun yesterday. I saw the yellow sun yesterday. Not yesterday. Well, I've been seeing the yellow sun, not just the white. But I know what you're talking about. Supposedly they're luminaries. It's hard to tell. I've been seeing a whole lot of flip-flopping going on. And I think a lot of this has to do with CERN and the timeline stuff being disrupted. And I have a theory. I said this earlier. You know, everybody talks about the Mandela effect. I think this is part of a little bit of a test. And pay attention to the skies, people, because if you don't feel yourself, I want you to know the whole technology is about energy and frequency. If you are someone who naturally falls into anxiety or depression, it will be amplified. Amplified. Because they're amping up and they're testing. And I noticed it on Tuesday. And I was not happy the way it affected me. Because when I took my walk and I was like, okay, what's going on? Show me what's happening. And that's what I revealed in that video is, oh, here we go again. Get grounded, y'all. Exactly. Get your copper out. Get your EMF protection on. Set your intentions. Clear your shit. Literally. Like if you haven't been working on yourself, and if you're interested in joining my group, my women's group, it will be starting the beginning of August. End July, beginning of August. This is about us coming together to support one another. Like I said, in the past, first 6 months, for anybody who signs up for the first one, and it's going to be an ongoing program, you will get the next 6 months because it's the first time. Oh, I love that, copper dice and crystals in your pockets. I know, right? I'm all about my crystals. I'm all about my juju. So one of my theories is that, yeah, be scared. Don't even cast that spell, Valley. No, don't put that out there. And the reason I'm suggesting this is because you're speaking spells, and that's exactly what they want. They want everybody in that fear space to think exactly what you wrote. If you speak their spells, you cast them, for yourself, more than anybody else, because that doesn't exist in my reality. My reality is different. I choose to tune out the noise, tune out all that noise, because that's what drags you out. That is the 𝐕𝐤𝒂𝒂𝒍𝒏𝒂. That is the mind virus. It literally is about them. Yeah, it is a chess game for them, and they want us to be their pawns, put against each other. So you can retract that as you like, because when you reclaim your energy, you no longer put that out there. It's important that we do this. So one of the theories that I have with the CERN stuff and the frequencies is that when you see those lines in the sky, you know the ones I'm talking about, I'm not going to say it, don't type it, but essentially what you see isn't just for the weather, it's also for you. And I noticed that on Tuesday, and that's when it clicked and I got the clue, I got the message. Here in Florida, I've been watching towers go up like crazy. It's so industrial around here, it's not normal. If we're so technologically advanced, technically we don't need those. And then our so-called satellites are really just weather balloons anyway. And so what they're doing is triangulating. So when you see the lines, then come the frequencies. And that taps into and becomes a bioweapon. Now, going back to CERN. I don't know what exactly has transpired. The Mandela effect, that everybody's comparing their memories around things like the Berenstain Bears and such. But I have a suspicion those are just surface level stuff. What they've really done, we're not really a republic. We are under a corporation that all of the things that we may have remembered from history that we were told and taught to believe have been flipped and turned against us. And I have heard suspicion around our birth certificates being owned by the UN. I have heard that we never left the monarchy. To me, it's not even about being an expert on the Mandela effect. It's about noticing that the timelines were fucked with. That's really what it is. They fucked with our timelines. And nobody's caught on to that part. Nobody's caught on to the big ones, like rewriting the legal terms, the so-called support our Constitution, all of this stuff, the Justinian deception. Who'd have thought they'd be messing with us to this degree? But see, what they've done is they've pitted us against one another. It's really easy to trip us up if you're in survival mode. Again, why are we paying to live on a planet? We can come together and put ourselves on the highest timeline possible. I totally agree with you, 100%. That's a good idea, a Bhagwan mirror. I like that. I actually do need to get one of those. I know what you're talking about, the Feng Shui. And I swore I had something like that once. Good idea. Thank you for that, Shakti. That's a really good idea. Because I need to get shit started here and moving in my house. I have high hopes for our future and us coming together. I truly do. But what they've done is, and I say they with a very general term because nobody really has the real, I'm not going to give them these ideal titles, but these individuals who, and there's so many layers to them. There's the ones you see and then the ones you don't see. But we're the ones with the real power. And they don't want you to know that. And they've known that a lot of us know this. And you see what happens when people start speaking out. Now we're in a world of sense yourself. Like, seriously? You have to police your own words? This is another big travesty that people are so afraid because of authoritarian stuff to say what they feel, which is why dis-ease happens, because when you can't be authentic and speak your truth and you are silenced and you're the one silencing yourself, that's the point. That's the big psyop going on right now, is how well they can get you to be the one who censors yourself. How easily they can get you to police one another. I mean, they did this during the Holocaust, people. This is a repeat example of what exactly went down then. It's so interesting because I was actually thinking about what's going on over in the other countries right now. And you know what's funny is I grew up with somebody whose last name was Zelensky. It's not a very common name. And he resembles a certain Reich master from the World Wars. And you know they funded him from both sides. So this is an interesting time to be recreating something they tried to pull off back then and didn't get away with. Yeah, funneling money. And you don't even know if it's a real situation because this is Hollywood, people. Everything's a show. Everything's in a screen. And if you hadn't learned over these past several years, they're really sloppy when it comes to their imagery. They're really sloppy about lies because they always come out and reveal themselves. Right? Am I right or right? So on the one hand, it's like, don't be distracted by all that nasty stuff. What it is it's a setup. It's again, a psyop. It's all about feeding off your emotions. Psychological operations are all about psychology. They know what the hell they're doing. Hello. Haven't you watched enough movies to know they know? And they're the ones behind movies anyway, because movies are meant to predict. People always say, oh, but a movie told the story. No, it predicted it through you. They tell the story on a movie, hoping it infiltrates your brain because you are trying to chill out and just watch it. You know, I just want to relax and watch a movie. And then, of course, when it happens in real life, you refer to the movie like, well, that reminds me of that movie. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I guarantee the seed planted from the movie is how you manifested it. They don't want you to know your power is in your ability to focus, conscious or unconscious. That is why it is so imperative to make the unconscious conscious in us, to meditate, to be daily practitioners of mindfulness. If you are not practicing mindfulness, then you are basically blindly being led by your own mind. Your mind is your master and not the other way around. You need to master your mind. Mindfulness practices, whether it's breath work or meditation and motion or whatever, is all about noticing the thoughts that do arise. You know, people will say all the time, I can't sit still. I can't, my mind, I have an overactive mind. Hello. You should hear my mind. And it's why I do what I do. Because my mind can go on a crazy trajectory like, whoa. And I can discern when it's mine and not mine. Because every once in a while I'm like, oh, hell no, that ain't mine. That's not mine. Fuck off. Like, flick. That's not mine. That is the purpose of mindfulness practice. So you can discern what is yours and what is not. So that if you do get triangulated with strange frequencies, you can turn around and go, okay, some fuckery is going on. And I need to ground myself and get back in my body. Right? I know, mine's already loud enough. I don't need extra, right? So, yes, they have. You think they studied us? This isn't the first reset, people. This isn't our first rodeo. We came back for more. Most of us have been here already. When they flipped the switch the last time, they just didn't expect. They were hoping they could do another round. This is the round where we all go, oh, fuck, no, you don't. And we show them their walking papers. That's a nice way to say it. But we are at a point where, honestly, even the controlled opposition, the people that are going to bat against the other stuff, it's like, don't even choose a side. At this stage, I'm telling you that this year was the year that the message that came through to me back in November was, this is a year about learning discernment and seeing things for what they are and being able to discern the truth from the lies, to separate, literally part the waters for your path forward and not get distracted and caught off guard by the waves on the left and the right. It is about the neutral path. It is about getting out of the trap. They need you to choose a side, and the moment you chose a side, that fucked you up right there. It's what messes us all up. I don't even subscribe to the whole voting thing. If you watched my video from years ago, I was in the Air Force when the whole hanging Chad situation happened here in Florida. I was actually stationed in Belgium. I was an absentee voter. I tried to send in my mail-in ballot, and it was returned to me not once, but twice. Return to sender. They pound it in you in the military. It's your duty. It's your right. It's your responsibility to vote. What bullshit is that? The system is rigged. We don't vote. We don't choose. If anything, all your ballot is a loyalty flag. It's you just, okay, they chose the people. Since when have you ever chosen the people that are running? Right? Not us. That's the Electoral Congress. That's the parties. It's such bullshit. I remember when I was in high school thinking, I don't understand how the system works. Even after they tell you and they teach you how, you know, you've got the executive and the whatever. I'm just like, you have to have so many electoral votes for this and blah, 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 blah. No, sorry, that's not a representation of the people. That is fuckery. That's a spell cast. It's all just a show. So that we don't notice how we have basically bought into our own enslavement, that they're the worst financiers. They don't know how to budget money, but if you listen to my last video, I explained to you, fiscal year spending is all about spending. It's so that you use the amount of money that you were allocated so you can get more the next year. That in itself needs to stop. It's stupid. People do stupid things. And it's like they say about the evil eye, right? About sloth, gluttony. these people have been in positions of power and they're gluttonous about it. And even then, what are you going to be patriotic towards? Towards a system that's basically fucked everyone over and then some, and continues to try to get away with it. Like, nobody's holding them accountable. The government's not going to condemn themselves. They're all in it together, remember? They got each other's backs. And literally got each other's backs. So this is the kind of thing that once you accept this and not even bother don't even get upset about it because it's not worth it, that the only way we win is when we walk away. Now that sounds pretty easy. I don't know how the hell that's supposed to look. The government only cares about you giving them money, funding them. And in reality, they don't even need us to give them money. They'll take it anyway. I feel like it's in the days of Robin Hood, don't you? There's going to be a movement for sure. It's going to be a lot of movement. I don't know what I feel coming down the pipe. I really don't. But I feel like something's about to pop. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. They pull that alien stunt. Just keep your eyes peeled in the sky. Watch the sun. But see, what they do is they create all of these distractions so that you don't pay attention to what's really going on. This is the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Look over there. Look over there. Yeah. We need a movement of healing, a movement of feeling, a movement of, yeah, get fucking angry. You're entitled to be angry. I tell you right now that anger is usually the best fuel, but you just better harness it in the way that it supports you and don't let it burn you up. I mean, unless you really want to be the Phoenix Rising, because that works too. But look at your relationships. Conversations that I've been having a lot lately is the codependency. Again, the biggest codependent relationship we all have been in for too long. I don't know about anybody else, but I have wanted a divorce for many years, and that's the government. Right? Hocus pocus your emotions into your intentions. Exactly. Well, Pamela, you know. We need to dissolve these ties that bind, because I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't agree upon half the shit that the money is being allocated towards spending. And I find it insulting when any being tries to point a finger at the masses saying, oh, we have global warming and we need to fix the environment. You motherfuckers are the ones fucking it around. You're the ones who poisoned our water, poisoned our air, force medicating the people, our food supply, our food chain, the earth. And yet you're going to have the audacity to tell us how you want to run things against us. Yeah, people need to wake the fuck up. That one right there is the most insulting thing I've ever heard. Because when all these corporations come into all of our states and they basically deplete our earth while they create poisons, and then they disappear and dissolve their companies, and they're never held accountable. This is a big thing here in Florida. The phosphate mining that gets dripped off into the ocean over in the Gulf. Oh, and by the way, I think one of the comments was made about the Gulf being where a lot of the underground bases are really at. Actually, I'll have a really good conversation with one of my neighbors here shortly. We were going to talk about that. Yeah, the guilt and the shaming doesn't cut it with me anymore. I say I raise you with that one. Turn that on yourself. Go look in the mirror. When people in positions that they, first of all, don't deserve to be in, especially all the, I'm just going to say this, all these crusty motherfuckers that are still in Congress and shit need to go and die. You're already way outside of your terms. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you should not be a career politician. Because all that says is you like to suck off the tit of America. That's some fucked up shit. And we got a whole lot of crusty shit going on up there. And what are they going to do? Take their riches with them when they die? They sound, well, maybe they are Egyptian. I mean, let's talk about that, right? I mean, this is all going back to the Khazarians, isn't it? Going back to all the ancient tribes, right? Israel. Some fucked up shit going on. It's a lot of fuckery. It's a lot of spell casting. And this is some stuff that goes deeper and darker than most people can even fathom. And they don't want to hear this. They're going to be like, oh my God, what are you talking about? I don't know what that is. Don't worry about it. Because when it happens, you're going to be like, what? You're going to be, what? WTH? What? WTF? Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, as we would say in the military. Or Tango uniform. Tits up. Oh God, it's so crazy because it's like, honestly, I have moments like, I came back for the shit. I knew exactly what I was doing. And I still have moments where I'm like, ugh, I gotta watch, could you just get it over with? Bring on the fucking alien bullshit. It's an inside job anyway. My train, you're so funny. I love you, Pamela. I mean, technically, they're already there. They're already among us. Like, what difference is it going to make? You expose them. Other than, of course, Hegelian dialect, you know, crisis, reaction, solution. We have to provide you with, we're going to protect you and save you. Because without war, we ain't got nothing. They wouldn't need to be where they're at without some conflict in the world. There is really no conflict. Just a bunch of heads, talking heads, creating conflict. Verbal conflict. Otherwise, all of this is bullshit. Can we just call that out? Russia, Soviet Union has always been the bad guy. Nuclear, ever since I was a kid. And my dad diving under desks. Oh yeah, that's going to save you. Every one of us has our childhood trauma from bullshit like this. Oh, the Russians are going to nuke us. Who the hell started this shit? I highly doubt that's even the case. It never was. It never will be. But they got to have a story. They got to have a bad guy. They have to have a villain so they can be the good guy. And reality is no, you're not. And they're all laughing behind the scenes going, we showed them, didn't we? We're the ones who need to save ourselves right now. That's the truth. And yeah, they're a bunch of sickos. Mentally unstable, psychopaths, sociopaths. And they're trying to normalize this shit. They're trying to normalize mental illness in this world right now. Hadn't you noticed? It's clown world. Literally. It's like when the masks went on, the masks came off. Everybody's craziness is out there for display. And this whole narcissism, psychopath, oh, look at me, I want attention, which they've always done, separating us by creating more labels, because more labels limit us. And it shows our inability to discern that we're all just fucking human. I don't care what you identify as. If you're not a good human, fuck off. If you have to have a label, that's a mental illness. Even saying that you are a certain color is not even who you are. Like, they have totally played the divide and conquer game to the max at this point. I mean, aren't you sick of it? Because I know I am. And as a woman, it's so insulting to see the way that they have tried to diminish and even erase us. But don't you know this has always been the setup all along? Trans has been around for a very long time, pedophilia especially. They set up the LGBTQ a long time ago as their solace, as their cover-up. I was out one day pulling weeds and I had this whole epiphany around, these motherfuckers have always gotten each other's back, literally up the ass. Like, they're normalizing their sickness so that they can actually get away with it and they don't have to hide anymore. That's the fucked up world we're living in, where they turn around and literally have it in your face and can get away with it. That's what I mean by changing laws, changing the languaging, that I've guaranteed the whole Mandela thing, the whole CERN, changing timelines. That's what they've been fucking around with. And nobody notices it unless you start doing some digging and research. Unless you have actual physical copies to see the difference. Because everything AI has always been there. And AI is not really a bad thing. I'm just going to say that right now. I know nobody really wants to hear that. But AI has always been in existence. And it's actually something that I've postured, being from the computer industry, having worked in Intel and IT, that who's to say that AI hasn't always been around and it's always existed. And it could be that we really truly are in a matrix. And that we are avatars. You know, our handler soul self is the one running the show on top of this. But I don't believe this is a trap. I don't believe in the soul trap thing. I know that there's some people talk about that. I don't believe in soul trap. We chose to come here. But I also see this as, it is a playground. It's an opportunity to get out of the mundane, because you get bored if everything is perfect all the time. This is also where we're leveling up. We chose to come here because we knew that this is unlike any other time. That Source, Creator, is leveling up through us as we level up individually and collectively. That in itself is a beautiful thing. I know about the eunuchs. I read some really interesting books around the Chinese and the eunuchs that used to be the captains of ships. They called them junk ships. Huge ships that they would travel the world in search of pepper and such. And then they would bring all these beautiful riches to wherever they went. And even language has been influenced by them as a result. South America, the word for chicken is something similar, is what I understand. But yeah, we are in, well, it doesn't even matter if you call it any type of cycle, but I mean, reality is we go through these periods, the resets, the yugas. It's not anything new. You know, everybody's looking for the answers. So what are you going to do with the answers? What are you going to do to contribute to it, to support it, to be a part of it? Because this is exciting. I know it doesn't seem like it, because at the same time we're like, well, that's fuckery going on over here. Yeah, and that's the noise that I'm talking about. I'm talking about it now because I want you to understand you need to discern the external noise that is creating fuckery from your own internal noise that's saying, we need to go in the other direction. We need to be neutral. And in a again, discerning way, we need to follow our own inner guidance. And for everybody, that's going to be something different. But essentially, we all desire the same thing: sovereignty, love, community, unity, contribution, expression, evolution, growth, beauty. Don't deny the beauty, because, you know, this is the thing that cracks me up, is like people who say they don't want money too. It's the same thing. I mean, life is full of so much beauty, and money's just a tool. It's how you harness and utilize it. It's an exchange of energy. And so even if we end up in the system of bartering once again, which we've all done at some point in our lives, when we get there, you're going to have to start to acknowledge and recognize your worth and what it is you're willing to part with for what you want. Like, this is really something you should already be considering in your life, that we have always traded our worth for some form of currency, some form of materialism, whether it be money or otherwise. That we need to value ourselves more. because we are going to be creating the new currency. And I'm not talking to digital either. I'm so against that. And the reason I'm against it is I don't like my shit. I don't like my shit monitored. I don't even like social media anymore. I'm getting to that point. But I see and saw this back when my ex was all, oh, Bitcoin this and the ledger and everything will be monitored. And I'm like, something didn't jive when he kept on saying that. I'm like, why would you want everything documented in a way that it'd never go away? Because that's essentially so that they can track and trace your every move and make you feel guilty for the one time. Like we don't have enough guilt in our lives that we need a credit system to keep us more in the lower vibrations. Oh yeah, I lost 2 Facebook accounts, girlfriend. I get it. I get it. Social media is shit. And it's really sad because it used to be fun. It was a great way to connect with people. And I had some great connections and I lost a lot of them. A lot of really great connections. All of the organizations, all of the schools that I participated in, I lost everything. And even the pages and the groups that I created for our local Kundalini yoga, like I had created groups for everyone that went through the different teacher trainings. So each year had their own page, their own group. But it is what it is. And so there we go back to practicing non-attachment, because that will always be the return to. That we are here for a limited time offer only, just this once, at least in this life. That things will go, things will come. But the question is how you appreciated them. Because this whole grieving thing, it shows you care. It shows you loved it, or you were attached to it, or you wouldn't even feel the loss. Because again, relationships, everything that you lose, that you thought was yours, will go. It will die off. It will disappear. 8 days without the phone, you mean? You promised yourself 8 days with the phone. I made it 4.5. I think am I understanding you were without the phone? You were doing a detox? I wish I could go without the phone. I got to get a hold of some people to get some work done. But this life ultimately is really about recognizing that we came here for the experiences more than anything. That you may not remember how someone looked, but you remember how they've made you feel. That how you feel about someone else does not dictate how they make you feel. You can love someone and they can still make you feel like shit. And what I mean by that is if your vibe on, you tune into your own gnosis on this one, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So if you are attracting narcissists, if you are attracting toxic relationships, trust your body. Look at that and go, why? Why do I choose this? If you're attracting it, it means some way you're choosing it too. And I can go down this road, like I have a dear friend who calls me. And as much as I love my friend, I said, you know, I'm going to tell you, this is codependency. Is the need to have validation from another, to have another person decide when you know yourself, both of you are on different paths. That person wants to go this way and you want to go that way. Why do you keep trying to pull the person back to the middle? Otherwise, it's a relationship of convenience, and not everybody's getting convenienced, if you know what I mean. You hear these stories over and over and over again, and I have friends that I'm like, why are you in these relationships? I would rather be alone than with somebody who sucks the life out of me or doesn't align with me. And so walking away takes a lot of courage, but you need to do that for the other person too, because all you're doing is holding them hostage as much as yourself. And when you say you want a certain person or a certain type of person, how are you going to achieve that if you're still with somebody who isn't that? And the longer You stay in those relationships, you know, the longer it lingers, the deeper the groove, because it becomes a habit, a routine. And the deeper the groove, the codependent groove especially, the harder it is to move, to lose, to choose to move, to go away. And nobody wants to hear the story about your victimhood when you're the one who chose it. That's just a fact. And yes, we've all done it at some point in our life. And then what do? We tell the story about how they were the bad person. When in reality, you were the one who chose to be with that person. That's some fucking humbleness. Here's some humble pie. If you've been in a codependent relationship and you're bitching about it, eventually your true friends will point out, like I would, why are you still talking about it? Why aren't you doing something about it? You are assuming it's okay to keep talking and basically reinforce your story because you just like the drama. And that's the truth. People who keep talking but not walking, they like the drama, and that's what they're telling you. Oh, that's beautiful, Valley. Thank you for sharing that. I'm with someone I never thought I wanted and have found it's exactly what I needed most. That's the way the universe surprises and delights you when you're ready for it. Gives you exactly what you need, and often is better than what you could realize. I know Pamela and I could have like a whole thing. One of these days we should do a video together, girlfriend, because I'd have never seen you do a video with anybody. Would you be open to that? They're not poor choices. They weren't poor. You were operating from that level at that time. So we don't want to label our choices as being good or bad. They're just choices. Based on the level of awareness we had in the moment we made those choices. So we don't make mistakes. We mistakes, but we always get a chance to make another choice. So when you think you're at the end of your choices, make another one, and it continues. And that is life. Life is a series of choices and experiences, and it allows blessings and lessons for us to learn, to grow, to evolve, to expand, and to support one another with. This was what I went through. I can see where you're at. Tell me about your life. Holding space for another because you've had the space held for you. Helping another because you've been helped. Allowing yourself to be helped. Whew. Because you know how much you've helped others. That's probably one of the things that over these years I've had to allow the turning of the tides. Allow myself to be provided for, to allow somebody to take care of me, allow someone to show up for me. I met someone recently and I allowed him to open the door and to carry my stuff. And boy, did that feel good. That felt really good. And I want more of that. Because that is how I see a relationship with a man. A man who shows up and does the wonderful, manly, gentlemanly things and appreciates the feminine as well. And it is awesome to see our experiences through someone else's eyes. Yes. And I can see the duality in that too. You can see the people who have envy eyes, and you can see the happy eyes too. My mind just does that. Because I've had a lot of the envy eyes. And that even at times when I didn't have the best stuff going on in my life, I've acknowledged and seen how people envied what appeared to be me having a good life or something working out, and it wasn't. It wasn't what they perceived or assumed of me. That when I was doing the social media front and I had a lot of people who wanted to participate, they wanted to get involved, but only because they wanted me to support them and to highlight them. And that was a hard one when you're in social media. The people that show up who want some of that, if you know what I mean. What's the word? They feel entitled because you're their friend, but they want some of your influencer to rub off on them. And as a result of that, it's a superficial relationship, essentially. But that's what that time period also showed me. It also revealed a lot of superficial people in my life who wanted me for the wrong reasons, or wanted to be in my presence for the wrong reasons. And then I've also seen how when all of that went away, so did they. That when I was no longer doing for them, where were they when I needed them? And that's okay. In fact, if anything, it makes my life a whole hell of a lot easier, because then I don't have to turn around and be like, oh, you need to go. They've just done it for themselves. And that's kind of one of the interesting things that I learned in my astrology just recently when I had my reading done again, is just the reminder that I have, kind of like guardian angels. Pluto watches over me in a way that people pretty much out themselves. I don't even have to do it. They pretty much out themselves, and I just trust what I see. And it can make my life a little lonely, because sometimes I don't always feel understood. I don't expect anybody to understand me. I'm a unicorn. I'm not like a lot of people. I just get called here to listen as best as I can. Oh. And it really is about shifting our minds, our thoughts, our reality. Like when you catch those thoughts, Blue Kachina, prior to when you entered, I don't know how long you've been listening, but the words that we choose cast our spells of our lives. My mother taught me this long time ago. She taught me that if you keep that up, you'll make yourself sick. I learned the power of manifestation as a child rather early. But also when she wrote on the sticky note, don't look where you don't want to go. And she crossed off the don't. Look where you want to go. This cult of personalities, this society, this culture that we've all been indoctrinated and programmed into, has taught us to always look for the negative. So I understand why people tend to gravitate toward it. Because all we hear on the television, all we hear on the news is negative this, negative that. That's why I say tune out the news. Tune out all of that external noise, because it's distraction and it's meant to feed off of your energy to support them and their bullshit. Yeah, knowing and doing. That's the crossword puzzle. Exactly. So one of the things about the universe and manifestation, it doesn't hear the don't. So you have to formulate your thoughts in the form of a positive, direct line of communication. You can't say, I don't want this to happen, because the universe only hears, I want this to happen. It doesn't hear the negative word. That's in your mind. So when you are thinking in terms of how to manifest, and you know what, ladies, when I'm doing the Women in Wellness, we will go over the power of words and how to properly create your manifestation statements. Keep them short, concise, and direct. I am so grateful that my life is flowing in abundance, that I always have everything I need at my disposal, that when I go to pay for something, I always have change given back to me. It's simple things, like you really need to create a storyline, but keeping positive statements short too. That was just a little bit, but reminding yourself that if the moment you put a negating word in there, you're actually attracting whatever it is. So if you're trying to avoid something, you're actually drawing it to you. And that's the unconscious mind. When we think in terms of, I don't want this to happen, you're magnetizing that to you. Exactly. It's Kabbalah, the Kabbalah tradition. Exactly. Well, and even in the Catholic religion, there's a lot of prayer, like the mother's prayer is always the most powerful. I know I've had conversations with other Kundalini teachers around Catholicism, and never discount the prayer of the mother. That the power of a mother's prayer is so incredible. That one of my teachers, she said that her mother-in-law would pray for her. And this woman had a radiance of like Mother Mary. And I felt that connection because that's like one of the, that's one of my big masters, let's say, that I have called in when I need support and protection is Mother Mary, is Jesus, is Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Ezekiel, you name it, right? Like I have a whole litany, but I've actually shortened and not been so much about asking and calling in others as much as my soul self. Because when you get to a certain point, you realize they're all part of your soul. They're all part of you. We're not separate. So she shared that her mother-in-law prayed for her and recited to the Mother Mary, which made so much sense. So we really need to be mindful of the languaging, the casting of spells, the words we use. Because this world is a lot of magic, and we are magic too. Like, don't look at it as always the spell casting as in like sorcery. I mean, it is, and it's about harnessing your magic too. You gotta play. You gotta magic up, baby. And you've been here. You've done this. Come on, ladies. How many of you are witches who've been burned at the stake in the past? I know. I feel it. I am my mother. I am my mother's phoenix rising. Mm-hmm. So I say thank you. Thank you for tuning in and listening to me chat on. I have so much that I want to share and support women. I'd love to do it with men too, but I feel like in a lot of ways, and unless I'm wrong, unless the ladies want the men in there too, I feel like it would be a better space for just the women. And if the men want it too, then I can do a separate one for men too. So I really appreciate all of you for showing up. It's so sweet to read your comments and everything, and we are the last for a reason. I don't know, are we? I feel like it is. I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement. I don't know how to explain. I've always felt that too. My mother didn't want to come back this last round, and I was like, ooh, that's powerful. But I've always known that I came here out of choice. And I know I came here to heal legacies, generational curses, and all that shit too. Because believe it or not, a lot of it sometimes is because they were coming after some of our families. Because we were the original royalty. And they're pissed that we're still here. And some of us are like, your gig is up. Your gig is up and it's our turn to rise. So, tap, tap. So it's up to you. And that's the message. Is don't be dependent, don't be attached. Neutrality is the key. And so is walking away. Walking away, standing up for yourself is leveling up too. This is a new earth, new world. We get to create the new. How exciting is that? How exciting is that? We get to create it. Nah, 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 nah. You know, you want to be playful, right? We need more play. More play in our life and more play in our day. On that note, I'm going to see if I can get a walk in or not. I don't know. I keep hearing thunder. Thunderstruck. I love you all. So much sweet. No, I knew Blue Kachina, you were a man. And I hope that you are a very happily married man. And I appreciate you showing up amongst us ladies and gents. Because we do have plenty of men that show up here too. So from my heart to yours, stay strong, be discerning, watch the sky, check your mind, be mindful. Practice, practice, practice makes progress. Pay attention to your thoughts and recognize what is yours and learn to discern when something else drops in and it isn't. the 𝐕𝐤𝒂𝒂𝒍𝒂, the mind virus, they try to infiltrate you, planting seeds, and they're using frequencies. Again, lots of love and light from my heart to yours. Mwah, 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 mwah.